In this English lesson, I wanted to help you learn the English phrase, enough already. This is a phrase that we say sometimes loudly when we're frustrated and we want something to stop. A great example would be when my kids are fighting. Sometimes I'll say, enough already. Enough already. It's time for you to stop fighting, and it's time for you to be nicer to each other. Right now, whenever I turn on the news, it's about the United States. It's about the election and how they're still counting ballots. And I just want to say enough already. In fact, the other night, last night, I wanted to watch the news. I thought I'll watch the BBC news instead of the Canadian news. I'll watch the news from the United Kingdom, from Britain. And when I turned it on, it was about the US election. I was like, enough already. Basically, what I'm saying is I've heard enough. I'm sure there's other things happening in the world, and I'd like to know about that instead of the US election. The other phrase I want to teach you today is very similar, and it's the phrase, enough is enough. This is exactly the same phrase. Let's use both examples again. When my kids are fighting or arguing, I could say, hey, enough is enough. It's time for you to stop fighting. I don't usually try to figure out who was wrong when my kids are fighting. I usually just try to make them stop fighting. Because if you have children, if you ever try to figure out who started the fight, it's pretty challenging. So sometimes I just say, hey, enough is enough. Stop fighting, quiet down, and just apologize to each other. And let's move on. And the same is true for me right now. Sorry, I just want to apologize to Brett because I love the United States. It's a great country. But right now, when I turn on the news and it's about the election again, I just want to say enough is enough. When I see people protesting, I just want to say enough is enough, everybody. Let's let this election finish. Let's see who won and move on from here. So to review, if you say enough already, or if you say enough is enough, you are basically frustrated and you're saying this expression because you want people to stop whatever they're doing. Hey, let's look at a comment from a previous video. This comment is from Key Park, and Key Park says, if I do my homework very well, I would not get worked up. Thank you, Bob. And my response was very true. The opposite is also true. If you don't do your homework, you might get worked up. So this was from yesterday's lesson where I talked about the phrases do your homework, meaning more than just a kid doing their homework. When you research something, you could say you're doing your homework, and that you get worked up if things don't go your way. Sometimes you get upset, either frustrated, emotionally upset, like crying, or angry. There's a lot of different ways to get worked up. There's some cats fighting over there. I don't know if you heard that. Here, I'll use an English phrase. Cats, enough already, okay? Enough is enough. Stop fighting with each other. I don't know what it is. The cats have been fighting with each other lately. I don't know why. Sometimes the cats are just not very happy and they fight quite a bit. So, hey, let me talk a little bit though. I know I said enough is enough and enough already talking about the US election, but I hope it resolves itself soon. Canada and the United States have a very unique relationship. I've talked about this before. I think I mentioned it maybe even in yesterday's video. We are very good friends. Being two countries with such a long border and having kind of a shared history to some degree, the United States and all Americans are very friendly when I visit the United States. And when Americans come here, we are very friendly as well. So we're just hoping, as their neighbor to the north, that's how we sometimes describe Canada. We hope that our neighbor to the south, I hope things just go well. We also sometimes refer to Americans as our American cousins. So even though I don't actually have American cousins, sometimes that's what I call them.